Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I just got to watching a phenomenal piece of content where Trevor Lane and the guys broke down the exact um, cap space situation in regards to the LA Lakers. Gave us the most likely scenarios, explained to us in great detail about what's going on with the new collective bargaining agreement circumstances and how best otherwise to maneuver around them for this team. Um, and ultimately, they landed on us kind of bringing back the same team, basically man for man, minus maybe Beasley and a few other guys. But we pretty much bringing back the same team if their scenario, um, which looks most likely in regards to how to maneuver the numbers, falls into place. We keep 17 drafted, bring back everybody, bring back D'Lo, get ourselves a mid-level exception player added to it at like $5 million or something like that, but nothing major. And I think the overall thought was this, it's not a sexy thing to bring back the same team. But in my opinion, you definitely want to bring back as much of what you already had as possible because, first of all, they got to the Western Conference Finals without a training camp, without a full season. So that should tell you that if it would have had one, it would have known itself better. And a lot of the mistakes that we saw this team make may not have been made in the Western Conference Finals, playoffs, throughout the series, leading up to it, and all kinds of different things that we made as mistakes. With this team coming back with some continuity, I'm excited about the possibility of us being happy with the team. Now, can it do better than it did last year, or rather what we just came off of in the Western Conference Finals? I wonder. I wonder if we can maintain enough health to do so. I think that will determine a lot. Also, who we pick at 17 and how much they're able to impact the team. What type of role Max Christie can play, and whether or not he's going to make a huge impact on the team in a positive way. That's going to determine how strong I think this team is going to be. Because if what their assessment of what's going to happen is the case, we're still going to need to find more shooting. We're still going to need to do certain things. So it's almost like that 17th pick is really going to determine, in my humble opinion, how well all of this improves from last year. Because if that player is not an impact player, or if that player is not in rotation, then we really are bringing back the same stuff. We'll be marginally better, but probably not good enough to beat Denver. Probably not good enough to beat some of these teams that are going to be coming back at a high level to meet us. So that's the thing. Who are you going to bring in at 17? And who is going to be that mid-level exception player if indeed what their hypothesis is turns out to be the case? Because those two players, if they're impactful players, yeah, they're going to make us marginally better for sure. But if they don't have any pop to them, or if they're not able to give us anything, then we're not going to be better, in my humble opinion. And we're not going to be as deep, I don't think. I think we'll be counting on new guys to step up and make us a deep team, play well and fit in and all of that stuff, develop quickly if they're young. That's what we're counting on in order for our depth to maintain. Guys like Shaq Harrison, I don't expect to be on the team. Malik Beasley will be gone more than likely, according to their way of thinking about this. A few other guys too. We would be keeping Bamba, but I don't know who else you're able to keep. So this is one of those situations where Rui, Austin's in place. You probably lost Troy Brown. So some of your depth is gone, but you'll also be able to replace those guys with some guys that maybe upgrades, depending on what you can do in the draft and what mid-level player you get. So that's not something that I shun at all. D'Lo at $20 million, if we're able to get him there, I'm going to want to retrade him. You guys already know I don't think he's the greatest fit for this team. Even if he's 100% healthy, I'm not sure that his style really complements AD as much as I want someone to, and he certainly doesn't play defense consistently enough or well enough to hold that down for me. Now, I already told you, if we want to slip him to a different role where you have him doing more two-guard stuff, more shooting stuff, more looking for his shot and shooting the open three-point shot, then I think you can have an entirely different piece with D'Lo that can be very beneficial to you. You just have to reimagine his entire role. Yeah, that's what I think. Because D'Lo was drafted to be a shooting guard, point guard. Either you can make him a point guard and have him do leading role stuff, or you can put him at the two and have him doing side stuff that it has more scoring. I think we just need to audible into the latter if we're going to keep this piece, and then bring in a real point guard on top of him. Someone who can probably help us if Hood Schifino or Kobe Buffkin, if we're lucky enough to have somebody like that land with us, that would probably be the player that I think you take. Or a guy that is growing on me real strong right now is Bryce Sensabaugh. I'm slowly but surely starting to realize that if he's available at 17, that's probably who I'm going to take. And I'm going to tell you why. Because now that I've done homework on Bryce Sensabaugh, what it is that he would essentially be adding to this unit is another 20, 25-point scorer that can score all day long. But he's 235 pounds at 6'6". So if we're putting him at the 3, and say we're losing Wenyen Gabriel, hopefully we can keep Rui Hachimura. You know how big we're going to be with this kid. You bring him in, Rui Hachimura stays, Austin Reeves with his length, A.D. Braun, Bryce Sensabaugh at 6'6", 230. I love what we look like if you bring that player in. He's not my favorite player in that range, but I'm talking about as far as a fit and what would help us. When you're talking about going up against the Denver Nuggets, you need somebody who's going to be preferably big enough to stay a threat, I guess, in regards to the Denver Nuggets with their big 7-foot lineup. You got Jokic, you got Gordon, you got Porter. Everything in my mind is if that team's on the other side of things and we run into their building with the same unit next year, we're going to probably find similar results. We just have to find a way to schematically make ourselves bigger and more efficient of a connecting shooting team. And while I don't think that Bryce is a great defender, what we have is AD on the floor. You know what I'm saying? What we're going to have is Rui on the floor playing defense. What we're going to have is Austin playing some defense, even though we do need to get better defensively at the two-guard spot, which is why I want D'Lo to kind of be replaced with someone who can do that. But, you know, these are the type of things where it's like I bring in Bryce Sensabaugh at 235-plus pounds, 6'6", a 3-level scorer that's going to score from all angles, basically just look to be another Rui out there looking for a shot. Now I'm going to get 25, 30 points out of him. You know how much pressure that's taking off of AD and Bron to score? When I got these issues with Bron with the foot and AD and his motor, and sometimes he only wanted to take 9 shots, Bryce Sensabaugh is the answer to all that. He's going to take his 15 shots, and he's probably going to hit 8 of them. So for me, it's like, yo, not only that, but he's such a difficult person to guard because he's so damn heavy. So this is why I like players like him and Hood Schifino. Those are the 2 players that I have circled on the list right now that I hope are available at 17 for the Lakers because they're just big for their position and offensive-minded, so they should be able to connect on shots. Hood Schifino's a pick-and-roll guy, somebody who should likely get AD more so involved, the guy who's going to play well off of Austin Reeves with the size, switchable guy. So I really like him a lot for us. But this Bryce Sensabaugh dude, he's the answer if you need buckets. And what we had issues with was execution. Just flat out down the stretch of games, we bricking shots. We couldn't count on nobody hit a shot, and the Nuggets hit every damn shot. So for me, it's like, give me a Bryce Sensabaugh who is going to play the 3 spot, likely going to be a small ball 4, but looking to repeatedly destroy people. I look at him, he would come in and immediately be, what's his name from the Bucks? I'm thinking about like a Bobby Portis type for us. I don't think he's as tall as Bobby, but he coming in doing the similar stuff as Bobby. He gonna get 20 points. We're hoping that we would get from Naz Reid. Bryce Sensabaugh gonna give me some of what a Naz Reid does. He's smaller than Naz, but he's gonna continue to pound and power you off of the bench, likely. Even though we're gonna work him into the equation as a starter probably within the next 3 years. But right now he's coming off the bench and he's gonna be looking to give me like 15 points and very difficult points to try to defend with his size at his position. So I think of a guy who's just going to be bullying through people. And if you have more than one of those guys, and we will with Rui Hachimura and Bryce Sensabaugh, I think that would be a hell of an opportunity for us to light teams up off the bench and not be so reliant upon AD and Bron to score the ball, for which I don't think we can rely upon them to do like that anymore. So yeah, I'm leaning in on the Bryce Sensabaugh pick. I also like the idea of Whitehead, but the problem with Whitehead is the foot injuries. I'm not bringing nobody with a foot injury to me, but he does fit because he's a big guy who can play both sides of the floor, and he's excellent catch and shoot player that you probably see turn into an OG Anunoby light kind of guy. So I like him a lot, but not nearly as much as I'm starting to like the idea of a 3-level scorer that's heavy as hell, honestly. And I think most teams are too, so you're probably going to be gone by the time 17 rolls around. But if Bryce Sensabaugh is available at 17, on this day, and this can change a lot, but on this day, right now, I'm probably taking him at 17, man. That's 6'6", 235. and the ability to score as well as anybody in the range probably is enough for me right there. Because I'm looking at some of these other guys that are scoring the ball that they really want to use too. Some of these other guys that are up there, like G.G. Jackson, is also a very talented player. And the more I learn about him, the more I realize he probably should be taken in our range too. Someone else, it was Jet Howard, who's obviously going to be a fantastic player at that height who can hit shots. Keegan Murray, you expect the same type of stuff from as well. But I think Bryce Sensabaugh is more intentional scorer. He's a guy like, those guys do a little more of other things. Bryce is coming out here and he's going to get buckets. He's going straight at just like Rui. He's going straight at the rim. He's going straight for he's getting in his spots. He's pulling up from the mid-range. He's pulling up from the three. He's getting in there, drawing fouls, getting to the line, shooting at a high free throw percentage, I believe. So this is the type of players like, you're going to find a lot of microwave scorers, but you ain't going to find too many to his size. You're going to find some guys that can do 3-level scoring, but you ain't going to find too many that are going to be as difficult to defend as him. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I know we have other needs. Obviously, Lively is somebody you want to take a look at too. That 7'1" guy who can block shots all day. He'll help AD a lot. But when I think about the Kuzma role, Bryce Sensabaugh gonna come in and play the Kuzma role. And he's gonna do it at a level that you expect will excel. And so that's what I say about a Bryce Sensabaugh. We do have a lot of needs, but I can't think of nothing that I'd rather have than somebody who can give me 30 points and make hell for the other team because he's just damn heavy to guard. And so that's what it is, man. I think that's what I would do today. Because some of them other dudes that I like in the range, man, at the end of the day, they can't hit a shot, and we already got that problem. Like a guy like Leonard Miller, for all of the great things that he does, I already got him in Vanderbilt. And while I believe truly that if you have a bunch of those guys on your team, you're going to win a lot, I also believe truly that you have a lot of guys like that on your team, you're going to brick a lot. And you are not going to be able to keep up with a team like Denver who's going to hit every damn shot. Yeah, he's going to be disruptive. He's going to make the game ugly, but at the end of the day, they're going to get theirs. And so for me, it's like I got to have some guys on my side that's going to get mine. And AD and his offensive issues eating up half of the damn cap, I need somebody who's going to be able to put some buckets up, man. I got to be able to, on my best night, be able to score more than 130 points. And I'm telling you that right now. And last year, I thought on our best night, we could probably get to 130. We need to be able to exceed that this year if we want to win a championship. So scoring is at a premium to a degree, even though defense is coming back. Guys are playing D, but we got defensive players. And if things stay the way they are, we'll keep defensive players. We're going to need a bucket getter, and we're going to need him to not be deficient on the defensive end so that he doesn't take away from our defense. And I don't think Bryce Sensabaugh will be overly deficient on the defensive end. He's not a defensive player. But again, he heavy, man. So you got to deal with him. And so that's what it really comes down to. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Hood Schifino or Sensabaugh seems sensible to be the F-44. And a few others in the range too. Again, I'm never too far away from Jordan Hawkins. I'm never too far away from Kobe Buffkin because those dudes I just think are better than our range. And if they slip to us, you're not doing yourself a favor by not grabbing them. But even so, Sensabaugh is also like that. So like I told you guys, if you're drafting at 17, you're definitely leaving somebody on the board that you like. That's just happening. And don't be surprised if somebody you don't expect to see in that range is in that range, as we've talked about last night. As I encourage you guys to go check out the videos that I've made over the last couple of days talking about the draft a little bit. So yeah, this is just what I'm finding as I'm doing my homework, man. It's more and more players to find out about in the 47 range. Lakers are taking a look at some of everybody. They're bringing a lot of guys in. I'm sure a whole nother crop will be in probably today. So we'll hear about it as they come about. But it's a fun time, man. It's time to talk about roster building and stuff like that. So this is my favorite time of year, other than being in the finals, winning the championship. Of course, the finals start tomorrow. Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. One of the most improbable matchups ever known to man. It's almost like you hit simulation mode on a video game and this is what you came up with. That's what it feels like, but you kind of like seeing that, This is the type of stuff you only see in the video game. So much has been said now about the issue that the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat had once where Jokic obviously hit Markieff Morris in the back. Was it Markieff? I think it was Markieff. I think that was our guy. I don't remember. But one of the Morris twins got hit in the back. Had him out for months with some type of back contusion or something like that. We didn't forget that. So It's one of those situations where people are bringing that up now that these two teams are going to be meeting in a series. I do believe that there will be some remnants of that energy, even though the Morris twin is no longer on the team. Jimmy Butler's still on the team. Kyle Lowry's still on the team. Bam Adebayo's still on the team. And all the people who were outside of the arena waiting for the Denver Nuggets to see about Jokic are still on the team. So I think that's going to have a major carryover into this series with the stakes being as high as they are. So I didn't break down this series as of yet. I still haven't done the type of homework that I otherwise would do if my team was involved, because honestly, I do not care that much. I never pretend like I'm the type of person, who's going to do things that I don't care to do, especially as it pertains to teams that are not the Lakers. So, yeah, I reserve the right to not follow it that way, but I do want to watch it from afar and just kind of chime in as I see fit in regards to this matchup that I think could provide us some really, really interesting basketball. I think the game's going to be ugly, though. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Miami's going to murk it up. I don't think it's going to be a free-flowing offensive shot-making type of thing as you would expect against teams like the Lakers and stuff. I just think that the Miami Heat are so tactically sound that they're going to figure something out against Jokic and Murray that the Lakers probably didn't figure out. I'm going to tell you that right now. I just expect Spoelstra to just have his head on straight, and probably has a couple schemes that he's had in mind for a couple years about this guy, because that's just how great coaches do, especially when they're video guys like Spoelstra originally is. So you best believe you're going to see some stuff against Jokic that you have not seen before, and we'll see how he handles it. And I think he'll handle it just fine because he's that great of a player, and I think he's probably a couple of days away from his first NBA championship, to be completely honest with you. I got Denver winning that. I'm not sure in how many, but yeah, that's... Even in the presence of all of this never doubt Jimmy stuff, which is very, very real, obviously, since we're here, I still think it comes a point where you run into somebody that's just too much for you. And I didn't think that about the Boston Celtics necessarily in Miami. Obviously, the New York Knicks were definitely not. They ain't play smart enough for that. And, of course, Milwaukee, with Giannis out, it wasn't happening. They were able to overcome. But this Denver team is a much smarter, much better performing basketball team. They're just generally a better shot-making team than maybe any of the teams that I've seen win over the last couple of years. Yeah, they are. They are the best shot-making team I've seen over the last couple of years win. So, when you consider all the different shots that you expect them to hit, especially down the stretch of basketball games, at the end of the day, it's just going to be hard for Miami to beat them, even if they scheme well. They're just going to hit the shots that you force them to take and make. So that was the story with the Lakers. Every big shot they needed to hit that we were hoping they would miss just did not get missed. That's the reality of it. So I don't know that much will change against the Miami Heat. And I really don't think that, but I know Spoelstra's got something. I know that, and we're going to see it. So that's pretty much what I got in regards to that. That's where my head is. I'm just thinking about, various different things in the NBA. Hopefully this team, my Lakers, are able to retain as much of this stuff as we want. I would like to shop D'Angelo Russell. My understanding now is clear that signing trades will trigger the hard cap if you're receiving a sign and trade player. But if you're sending them out, that doesn't necessarily trigger your hard cap at all, so long as what you're bringing back isn't also signed and traded. So, that does include players with options and things like that. So that clarity is definitely helpful. Now that we know that, we understand that there are more flexibility available to us to ship D'Lo out and not be harmed in regards to our hard cap. So that is very, very important to understand. I think it's something the Lakers should definitely consider. Matter of fact, I would trade him for one of the top picks in the draft if somebody would be so kind as to do that for us. Maybe not top pick, obviously, but if you can get me another pick in this range, I would be happy to send D'Lo out and draft somebody like Kobe Buffkin or something like that. Because like I said, if I got two players, if I have only one pick in this range, I'm not happy. And I don't think we're the only team to feel that way. I think Miami probably feel that way. The Pelicans feel that way. Utah probably feel that way. Everybody in the range of 15 to 22 should probably want more than one pick. Because if you're doing your homework, you understand that you got more than one player that you probably could use on your team, no matter who you are in this range. And so that's what it is. I want the Lakers to get another first rounder. And if D'Lo can get me that, I don't see why I would not want that in my possession, especially when I know he's eating up $20 million of my cap. And I don't really like his piece that much. See, that's what it really comes down to. People want me to bring his piece back because we can trade it at the deadline. But my thing is, I don't want no problems at the deadline. I've been going through situations where I need to make trades at the deadline that kills my cohesiveness. A point guard, somebody that important, I don't need him to be nobody different at halftime in regards to this season than at the start of the season, especially when I already know I don't want this dude. Okay, let's just be real. I already know this. So while signing him and trading him immediately now doesn't trigger the hard cap, I see nothing standing in the way of me doing that. Zero thing. Zero thing. Are you telling me I don't get any trouble for getting rid of this dude? And he's struggling and he's gonna take up that much of the cap and I can turn him into like 4 different players, make my team better, turn him into some picks, make my team better? Are you kidding me? Why am I not doing that? I do not understand this. No one has explained to me, especially explaining that further that I don't go over the hard cap for getting rid of him. Nobody's explaining to me why I should want him back. You know what I mean? It's almost like that's like a don't ask, don't tell, just assume that we want him back because. Like, nah, because need to be given some words. Give me a why. I ain't got one. So as far as I can tell, that's the guy that needs to be shipped to a place that best fits him and bring back somebody that's a bit more defensive so that we're not minus 37 in the damn Western Conference Finals when the guy's on the floor. Or worse. So, hey, yo, I'm cutting dry when it comes to this team. I get rid of anybody. Y'all know that. I got a heart for the organization. And when it comes to different players, I just want to see the players on the team next to people that they can succeed with. So if one guy's in the way of the other guys succeeding, then he got to go. Ain't no being, nice to the player that's struggling. The team is struggling with the player that's struggling. Get the player that's struggling off the team, and the team no longer struggles. So that's what it is. That's what it is. I think we did the opposite of that last year and capped ourselves off because of it. We didn't lean into what works. It's something I said a lot of the time. And most importantly, eliminating what didn't. And so when you bringing it back a player you know you had trouble with, couldn't halfway keep him on the floor for reasons that really were kind of confusing to a lot of people. And then he didn't seem to care at the end about how he didn't play well. None of that. It's like, yo, I don't need none of that, bro. I've dealt with that with Russell Westbrook. In the first half of the season last year, I only deal with that from a guy that ain't gonna play no damn defense. So look, God bless D'Lo. If he does come back, I will be open-minded about him being better than he was in the Western Conference Finals at the start of the season. But at the end of the day, I have seen enough to know that his piece is better utilized in a different place at a different price for the betterment of what it is that he can bring to the table too. Being asked to set up things for Anthony Davis and LeBron James and asked to play better defense and all that stuff, that should not be stuff we're asking him to do. To be honest with you, if you look at where he was succeeding in Brooklyn, he wasn't asked to do none of that. You know what I'm saying? So you want to simulate what he had in Brooklyn if you want him to succeed. And if you're not giving him that, then obviously you're asking him to be something that's not best for him and thus not best for you. So that's what I feel about that, man. I'm not down on D'Lo as a player. Like I said, if I had a different situation that fit him, I'm bringing him to that situation. It's just like any other player. But as far as the Lakers, I'm not. That's a bad risk for me. It's just like I said about Whitehead. If I already got 2 players with bad foot injuries, why am I in a third? Have we forget about D'Lo's feet? Like, no, we don't, because I bring it up every time we talk about him. So this is a situation where that needs to be taken into account. And if we just want to have everybody with foot injuries, then of course, just bring in Whitehead too. Draft him at 17. We'll take our chances. Everybody have foot problems. And we can be the foot team. Orthopedic Lakers. So as far as I can tell, none of that makes any sense to me. Remove the foot issue since both of the most important pieces and expensive pieces have foot issues. And bring in somebody who doesn't have foot issues. So this is where the logic comes in, man. No D'Lo at $20 million if nothing goes wrong for getting rid of him. If nothing goes wrong for getting rid of him, give him the shoe. Straight up, man. So that's where I'm at with it. And Beasley, same thing, man. I'm not bringing back struggling players, bro. Now, Troy Brown, I don't look at as a struggling player. I just look at him as a jogger, a professional jogger with length. He can be helpful, man. And he's inexpensive and he's very young, which means he can get better at whatever the heck he's going to be. So as far as I can tell, if we can bring him back for $2 million, I don't see no harm in that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I trusted him to run back and forth for a good majority of the season, and we were decent. And when he was out there doing nothing, that's all it was. It wasn't like he was harming us. He just wasn't doing anything. So as far as I can tell, he's not a negative. If anything, he's just not a positive. And as far as I can tell, at $2 million with the length that he has, that's a good thing. So as far as I can tell, bringing back Troy Brown is the least most concerning thing possible for the Lakers. You can sign him last. I don't think anybody's excited about picking him up anywhere else. If for some reason he signs with somebody else, with respect to him, you're not going to worry about that. So it's like Troy Brown should not be X'd out of the equation. If anything, you want to keep small forwards of his length and age on your team and just live with the development process. And do not forget, he's young, dude. That dude looks like he's 26, but he's actually only like 23, 22. So when you consider that versus what it is you've asked him to do and how he's played, he's actually been okay. I think Troy Brown has actually been okay. And I wouldn't mind having Troy Brown on the team for a couple years because I think a guy like him and Vando, Winion, even though it looks like Winion's going to be gone, I'd love to see what those guys look like staying together with a training camp. So that's my thing. It's not that I don't think we can upgrade, and we definitely will, because you got Cole Swider and you got Max Christie and you got Scottie Pippen, of whom I hope the Lakers are planning on giving roles. So that makes even more sense to keep Troy on the team, because your team is even better if you're bringing those guys up and kind of slipping him down. So it's like, for me, bringing back the same team can be a good thing, especially when I consider how much upside the players that haven't been used are going to show me this year. I can't wait to see Max Christie with 15 minutes a night. I can't wait to see him earn 25 minutes a night before the end of the season by the time that is over with, because that's exactly how that's going to go. You're going to start the season giving him 15, thinking he's okay. By the end of the season, he's probably going to be starting, because I already know what he can do. No question about it. So Max Christie is definitely playing up that value, especially if for some reason we lose Austin Reeves. Cross your fingers that doesn't happen. But as Trevor illustrated for us, and I will take this from their content too, Austin Reeves is in the driver's seat, man. It's up to him if he wants to be a Laker. He knows what we got going on. We cannot sign him right away, because as soon as we he cannot sign right away, because it's probably going to be more feasible for us to sign other people and sign him last. That's what the ideal situation is for the Lakers. It's kind of what we need. Problem is, San Antonio going to be on his backside. Houston going to be on his backside. Probably other teams like Milwaukee, somebody they going to want to pay him some money. And so if he signs a restricted contract with those guys, we have 24 hours, which is really messed up if you ask me. Since the last couple years, it's been 48 or 3 days in between the time where you sign an offer sheet and then your team has to sign to match it. If you don't match it, they go to the team that they signed the offer sheet with. They've decreased that time to 1 day. So if Austin Reeves goes and signs a contract with one of them teams, the Lakers gonna have to then rush and sign everybody in 1 day. We gotta I guess get agreements and then dish out paperwork for people to sign digitally. I guess it would have to be, because they ain't gonna have time to fly to LA type stuff. Like, he would really put the Lakers in a situation where basically if he signs an offer sheet, he's probably gonna go to that team, because we just ain't gonna have time to do what we need to do. And so it's up to Austin Reeves before he signs an offer sheet to understand that if you sign that offer sheet, you're basically signing with that team. It's going to be hard as hell for the Lakers to do what they need to do and keep you if you do that. So I hope it's up to Austin. If he wants to be a Laker, he'll be a Laker. If he wants to be a Spur, he'll be a Spur. Houston Rocket, he's going to have his offers. He's going to have his money. And so he's done good things for us. We love having him here. He's excelled in this role. I don't know that he excels in a role if he don't have stars next to him like that. I don't think his handle's strong enough to be taking on first man defense or second man defense. To be honest with you, he ain't there yet. But his shot making level and his defense ability to draw fouls, his length, his intellect, his playmaking, all of the other different things, offensive, defensive, rebounding, this is going to be one of the best shooting guards in basketball, in my humble opinion. So whatever you're paying him today, it's a discount, so long as he doesn't run into any injuries, because his mind is already up there with some of the best players in the game. I already know that. And so it's one of those situations where it's like he just has to continue to work on his game itself, and of course just continue to fill into his body. And I think he's older because he played 4 years in college, so he's like 25. So I still think the upside is real, and even if he doesn't have immense upside, he's still somebody who's going to help you win big in the biggest moments, already proven. So that's what I think in regards to Austin Reeves. I think bringing him back is a no-brainer, and the ball is in his court. It's in his court, and if he does sign that offer sheet, he's gonna make it tough on himself in regards to trying to come back to the Lakers with a good team, bro. That's what it really comes down to. You're triggering Rob Pelinka to rush the job to put the team around you. So if they do decide to keep you under those circumstances, it's you ruining the damn team. Like, you make it so that we got to sign a bunch of people we don't want to sign, or have to do some stuff that doesn't make no sense just to make it happen. So we may do that. We may do that because Austin Reeves is that important to this organization. But it will literally make the difference between them having good teammates and not. So that's what I would tell them. If the decision is to be a Laker, do not sign an offer sheet with anybody. Don't do it. Tell all them teams thank you, but I cannot do that based on my desire to be a Laker and the circumstances in regards to the time restraints. I just can't do it. I got to leave this money on the table or accept this money and leave the Lakers, because it ain't going to be no 24-hour rush job, in my humble opinion. It's going to be impossible to do correctly. So that's what it really comes down to. And the NBA, like I told you guys in a previous video, I think that they rushed the collective bargaining negotiation stuff. I think they rushed it, man. I really do, because they were trying to keep from having a lockout. And some of this stuff really puts you in some time restraints that make it so that your quality of your team is probably going to suffer. I don't think they want qualities of teams to suffer. They just want to deter certain things. But I don't think they got it right. And I'm just telling you guys what I think. Listening to those Trevor Lane and those guys tell us exactly how this has to be built. Teams are going to back into mistakes just for the sheer notion that they can't go over a certain limit without triggering the tax apron, the double tax apron, or whatever it is that they're now calling it. Teams are gonna mess up really good things trying to meet these deadlines, and it's just that's not the intended desire for the NBA. I don't believe so. They may want to try to leave some ambiguity to make some changes in the short term. I don't know if they've done that, but I think it would be wise if they find this season that some of this stuff don't work. You might not want to wait a couple years to fix it. So that's just what I think as the league goes forward in what it is that we're doing here. I just noticed there are going to be some teams that look different that didn't necessarily have to look different. It probably aren't going to be better for it looking different. So that's my opinion there. All in all, this is going to be a good season coming up. We're going to see some player movement. You're going to see some trades, possibly in the draft. Obviously, the finals are going to keep teams from making moves right now. I don't think you'll see anything happen before the finals end. But once the finals end, you're going to see some movement of some sort, I do believe, especially with these top picks in this draft. Most people don't think Houston's going to move that pick, number 4, but I think that thing is going to move. Some of these teams are trade up candidates, trade down candidates. If you ask me, pick 3, pick 4, pick 6. Those are the picks that could legitimately be on the move. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. And when I say pick 6 of the Orlando Magic, I haven't heard any rumors of them trading the pick, but I just don't know that the player in the range, depending on who gets passed on, will be who they want at 6. I don't know who they will want, but there's a good chance that their guy is either gone or somebody's on the board they weren't expecting. And that may trigger some other team saying, yo, this guy's there. Let me go to Orlando, see if I can throw a bunch at them, as to which maybe we could probably lose that pick. Guys that are going to want the 3rd pick, they ain't going to be able to get it. They're going to be calling those other teams behind Portland, try to see if they can get those picks in that range. So that's what I think is possible. Now, whether or not teams are going to pull it off based on the changes in collective bargaining agreement and how difficult it is to move players around, one will never know. But as I told you guys last night, some of these teams have different presidents now that just came in, different coaching. Some of these teams, from what I understand, are looking to hire a specific coach, and they haven't hired him yet. Maybe they're trying to lure a certain talent to that place so they can get that coach. It's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I just think that ahead of the draft, we could be looking at some different type of stuff in regards to movement. Teams that you don't expect to blow their situation up, they may reset it for the betterment of just what it is that ultimately may be possible with some of these youngsters. So that's what I see there, man. And in other teams, because of how hard it is to build, now they want to get stuff on the team that they're familiar with, that they like. Some of these guys are going to be returning to old spots now, just because it's so difficult to move from here on out, that you want stuff that you can trust, reliable stuff. It's going to be interesting to see the market in regards to that for certain players. A guy like Kyrie Irving, with the commitment concerns that a lot of organizations have. With this new collective bargaining agreement in place, you kind of stuck with what you signed with. So it's going to be interesting to see what the market's going to be like for certain guys. Um, you know what I mean? I just don't know. I don't know. Uh, the idea of a guy like Jaylen Brown getting traded seems more likely, as we've talked about. But then again, that familiarity factor, timeline factor may be more important to some of these owners than bringing in a wild card mortgage in the future for a couple picks and end up having a guy you don't really like that much. You're stuck to a contract doesn't fit your situation. Julius Randle style in New York, it's like he's too good to move, but he ultimately the reason we ain't winning is because of some of his decision making. It's just like, all right, how do we fix our situation? How do we get over the hump? If you're the New York Knicks, how do you lock into contracts that you actually can win with? You know, you got all this depth, but the stars ain't necessarily who they need to be. It's like we moved Julius, bring Jaylen, somebody that can be a little more fitting for what it is that they're going to be doing, or you keep Juju because you've had him for a couple of years. It's a bunch of nonsense that honestly I don't envy any of these owners or GMs right now because the NBA has backed them into a very tough spot in regards to roster building. So that's pretty much what it is, man. That is my thought, and that is why I'm telling people that player development is the only way. And so that's it. That's your way out of this situation, is finding stuff out of nowhere. And hopefully these teams are heeding that and hiring good scouts and investing in these G League affiliates. So that is my thought there. All in all, I think that's the end of the video, man. I got everything I wanted to say out. I just wanted to give you a little bit of the gum bumping, I guess you can say, in regards to this league and what's on my mind right now, and just ultimately bring you guys my understanding of some of the changes that are going to be available within this collective bargaining agreement. So that's what I got. I encourage you guys to go check out that video that I watched, the Laker Nation, where they broke all that down in a much more intent and seriously effective way. And from there, of course, we'll go forward with this understanding and now know what our options are. So that's what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching.